Amen.
Okay, friends, tonight I'm just would like to talk to you about both the main aspects of faith as well as our family. Both of them are very important for us. Faith is shared in the family, and the family has to have faith as the topmost priority. So both of them are very, very important, especially in today's world where we are right now. The faith is being shaken as well as family life is being shaken. So I would like to talk about both of them. Now, the gospel of this weekend is about the scribe coming and asking a question: what is the greatest of all the commandments? And Jesus says, you must love your Lord, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your understanding. And the second one resembles such as that: love your neighbor as yourself. And then that man repeats the same thing. And then he adds by saying, well, this is far more important than any other holocaust or sacrifice. And Jesus was very pleased with that answer. He was quite elated by that answer because he rightly answered. The love that we have is what makes us human beings. That differentiates us from the rest of animal kingdom or vegetation kingdom. If we lose the ability to love, we are no more human beings. The ability to love is the one that makes us the crown of creation. Whereas if you look at the animals or birds, many of them are able to do the things even that we cannot do. Like birds can fly very easily, we can't. The fish can swim in the water whole day and night, we can't. And animals like elephants are far more powerful than us. Or a cheetah or a lion, which is like faster than all of us. So there are so many abilities that God has given to a number of animals. Or the majesty of a tree, for example, that can withstand any sort of weather, any sort of climate, which speaks about the majesty. And if you notice the trees, they always grow towards God. And so when we look around the world, in the universe, there are so many things that praises God's name in a beautiful manner. Whereas when it comes to human beings, the ability to love is the one that differentiates us in a very, very unique manner. And if we take away the ability to love, we are no one. Because that makes us the crown of creation. The scripture tells us God is love. Anyone who lives in love lives in God and God lives in him. Whereas if we remove love from our life, we become nothing. That's what like Saint Paul says so beautifully. Even if I may have the ability to speak in tongues or interpret the tongues, or ability to travel, ability to do this and that, but if I am not having love, I am clashing of cymbals and empty gong, nothing else. So that love is very important. In our faith, faith is the expression of our love for God, not only God's love for us. It teaches God's love for us, and we know that, though at times we take that for granted, whereas the faith has to be teaching us our love for God as well. So God's love for us and our love for God, that is about faith. Whereas in the family, the love that we have received from God has to be shared with one another. We cannot be just isolated. Now, in a family, father, mother, and children, the children are the expression of love between father and mother. And the family that is coming together to express their love together to God and to one another is a highway to heaven. And people need to realize that in a family setup, it is very important that love is practiced and it is lived out. We may not be able to have a perfect family life, like, where everything seems to be like so well going and all. No, there will be problems in any family, any setup. Like, there could be problems, there could be differences of opinion and everything. But at the same time, what is important is to reclaim our ability to love all the time. Now, how do we do that? In a marriage life, what is important is that we give up ego in order to win people. Whereas sometimes people, what they do is that they give up people and they win ego. Now, that is why the families fall apart. During the lockdown, there are so many families who became stronger because of the closeness, whereas there are so many families that have broken apart because of the same closeness. It has brought to them a reality of who they are with one another. Like before the lockdown, everybody was going morning to evening, running after jobs and doing stuff and dropping off kids for sports and picking up from school and shopping and all those things. They kept them going, so to speak. Whereas the lockdown put them together under the same roof, in the same address. They didn't have that much of opportunity to get up. Now, what happened was that the stronger families become stronger further because they could relate with one another, discover each other better, whereas the families who were already shaky fell apart. So there are so many problems in family life, especially we discover more and more families having a lot of struggle. In a family life, it is important there is an aspect of sacrifice. Now, what do we sacrifice? It is not sacrifice of oneself. It's not nobody wants to die, but it is a sacrifice of one's selfishness. You don't marry for yourself. You marry for the other person. If you marry for yourself, then that is not marriage. You choose to remain single. You don't have that narcissistic ideology when you marry. Whereas when you marry for the other person, then the marriage becomes beautiful. Now, what are the three things that we need to remember? First thing in married life is prayer life. If families fall apart, it is because they have cut off themselves from God. They think that they can manage. And then they give all sorts of stupid excuses by saying, well, we have got work, we have to go here, we have to do this, we have to do that, and all sorts of excuses. So when they don't have that connection with God, automatically they fall apart. God is like a super glue that unites husband and wife. Why he has to be there to unite one another? Because we are different. We are not the same. Especially men and women, definitely God has created completely different in our thought, in our words, in our deeds, the way that we behave, in our physique, in our mental ability, everything is different. So who can really unite us together? God. Why God has to unite? Because both male and female are made in his image. So he becomes a super glue to who can bring both of them together. When the connection is cut off from God, automatically they fall apart because the other one is not identifying himself or herself in the image of God, and there is no commonality there. When God, we as male and female, when we are together, we share in the creative power of God, and that ability to procreate is because of our fullness of image. When male and female come together, that is a fullness of image of God. And when the fullness of image of God comes, automatically there is a creative power. And that is what God has shared with all of us. And that we need to understand that we need to constantly have that longing to come together with God. That is the first aspect. So prayer life is very important in every family. That is why, saints have said family that prays together will stay together. People misunderstand, well, staying together only in the address, in our homes. No, even in heaven. If you want that person in your family to be there in heaven, you got to include that person here in our prayer life. Now, what is the excuse that we give? Time. Well, we have time for everything. We go for movies together, weddings together, Christmas parties or birthday parties and picnics and shoppings and everything, we do it together. What about talking to God together? That is why Jesus is very smart when he said, where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. And also he said, when two of them at all, they come together with one heart and one mind and one word, and ask me anything, I will do it. The problem is that husband asks for something, wife is asking for something else. They don't ask only one thing together. But if they ask one thing together, God will give it to them. When will they ask one thing together? When the heart is united. God is not going to listen to your word. He is not going to listen to your word. You can yell and scream and do whatever that you want. Prayer is connecting of your heart to the heart of God. So God can hear every whisper that you make. Sometimes the best conversations are made in silence. So with God, what he sees is that whether our lips are resembling the heart. If our lips don't talk what heart has got, he can't hear it. He can hear every word, every syllable that comes from the heart. If the words that we utter speaks what is in the heart, he can hear every word that we say. If a heart is saying something else, that is why we cannot hide anything from God, because he sees what is in the heart. He sees the prayer that comes from the heart. So when the husband and wife, when the family, with one heart and one voice, when they express something, when they ask God, he will give it. He will give it to them. There is no problem at all. That is why it is very important that they think together and they pray together. So whenever you hear, remember, where two or three are gathered in my name, or whenever the family prays together, will stay together, think that your heart has to be united. If a heart is not united, well, you can't make one single prayer. It's two different things. That's not family prayer. That is individual prayer. Family prayer is having one heart together. The prayer life, when do we pray? Sometimes what happens is that we give the worst time to God, whereas we give the best time to TV. That's why it's called prime time. Prime time is when we are to our fullest. And the media knows when to target us. They exactly do it in such a way that they can take away our family life, our time for one another. And what happens is that the prime time of our life is given to prime time program, not to prime time to prayer. 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, when everybody is home, you're back home with your family, and instead of talking to God at that time, what happens is that people just give that worst time for God and the best time for TV. Some time ago, I went to India and I came back. I had a jet lag. Couldn't sleep. I was awake around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was chatting with my friend who is in Italy on the Facebook. I said, look, I'm jet lagged. I came back from India. I couldn't sleep. Now, I don't know how I'm going to function tomorrow. I need to really get some sleep. He said, try this, try that, and have some warm milk. And I tried everything. Nothing was working. In the end, what he said to me was that, try rosary, man. Try rosary. Thought to
Yes.
myself, for heaven's sake, rosary is not sleeping pill. But that's how we use it. When do we start the rosary? Exactly when we go to bed. The time to go to bed, we take the rosary. First decade, second decade, third decade, we are in a heavenly trance. Mother Mary is waiting there to finish up talking. Huh? Glorious mysteries. Gloriously, we are sleeping, whereas Mother Mary is waiting for us to finish up the rosary. Because we give the worst time to God, worst time for prayer. And then what we have is that we have guilt feeling, saying that, I fall asleep. I feel lazy to say prayer. Definitely, because your time is not the right time. You give the best time to your TV. After dinner, you are already tired of all the work and everything. Now you start off your prayer at 10:30, 11 o'clock. What will happen? Definitely. In the morning, rosary somewhere, you are somewhere else. And then you realize you didn't finish up your conversation with Mother Mary. So give your best time for prayer. Like those of you who know me, I'm not a morning person. If you ask me to say my prayers in the morning, I will put God to sleep like that. Whereas I am at my best in the evening. I can talk, I can concentrate better, and I can talk to God better. So you got to find out when is your best time for you, for your personal prayer, for your family prayer. And it is important that you teach your children as well how to pray. The greatest gift that you can give to your family, to your children, is your faith. Nothing else. Not your money, not your car, not your house, not your gadgets, certainly. The gadgets are replaced like almost every 6 months. Nothing is permanent except faith. If you leave behind a legacy, a heritage, a wealth of faith to your children, they will carry it to the next generation, to the generations after, all through. It will go a long way. So build up, that is why Jesus said very clearly, build up the wealth that will last in heaven, not the wealth that will be eaten up by the worms and moth. Very smart to tell us those things. So in a family life, very important thing is prayer. The second is communication between husband and wife. Be a team that is united. You need to work as a team. If you are divided, your kids will take you for a ride. These days, why the families, especially the husband and wife, don't have that much of respect from their children is that they are never a team. When you are divided, when your mind and heart is divided, you can't stand together. United, you stand. Divided, you fall, even in family life. So you need to be a team and keep your focus of your marriage to the spouse, towards your spouse, not towards your children. Children are the gifts of your love between each other. What is important is that you have focus of one another very clearly. Because one day the children will be grown up and gone. They will walk out of your home when they settle down themselves. Don't find yourself strangers. That is the very reason why marriages break apart after 20 years or 25 years of married life, because they were not looking at each other. When everything comes to focus, when children are gone, you look at one another as strangers. You don't have anything as common because your time, your energy, everything was taken up by the children. Well, you got to live your sacramental life till one of you go to the grave. Whereas you give it up for the sake of the children. It doesn't mean that you don't look after your children. No, they are the gifts of your love, but they are not the focus of your marriage. There are two properties of marriage: welfare of the spouses and procreation and upbringing of the children. So both of them should be there. But the first one is the welfare of the spouses. The second one is procreation and upbringing of the children. There could be some families who cannot have children, but the intention is there. That itself is like having children. And it's very important that you keep your romance alive. I always tell in our parish, go out together, not with your children. Leave the children with somebody to look after. Just husband and wife, both of you go out on a date. Talk with each other, not about what Scott Morrison is doing, or not what Gladys is answering in the ICAC, or not about what the new premier is doing, or why the climate is changing and all. Like, leave that to the people who want to talk about it. Talk about your feelings for one another and come back with that same romance that will rejuvenate your love for each other. And when you see yourself clearly talking to each other, things are sorted out and things become clear. You come back as a one team that will benefit your children, your family, your extended family, your friends, your faith, everything. So it is very important. Even when you go out on a date, leave your mobile phone back at home. Sometimes they go and sit there and message somebody else who is not there. Forget about the world. Go only with both of you. That is very important. This has saved so many marriages in our parish. Simple effort, but helps. It really, really helps. The third one that you need to have in your family life is a sense of forgiveness. Sometimes people hold on to their ego to the point of losing the people. They are happy to lose one another, whereas they don't want to lose their ego. Ego is a small little word, but the impact is very big. This ego comes from pride. Pride is the first sin committed by Satan. And he continues to do that. And he gives an installment basis. Little bit of ego there, little bit of selfishness there, but everything comes from pride. And once we get into pride, it's very, very difficult. Because when we have pride in our life, we try to replace God in different ways. What happens? I have money, I don't need God. I have position, I don't need God. I have power, I don't need God. So what happens is that, like everything, the pride, that's a trump card that devil plays all the time on the people, especially when they try to come closer to God, immediately uses that pride. We want to be God. That's the worst of all the sins. So have that sense of forgiveness. When you have done wrong, say, I am sorry. When the person says, I am sorry, be generous enough to say, I forgive you. So the couples need to learn 3 sentences. First sentence, to say to one another often, I love you. To say to the other one when you have done something wrong, I am sorry. When the other person is asking forgiveness, you should be ready to say, I forgive you. But look at the families who do have arguments, who do have little fights and everything. When there is a sense of forgiveness, they will have many children. They're not buying the children from Bunnings. Once a forgiveness is there, your love increases. When your love increases, you express it. They result in children. Simple as that. That is why Catholic families have lots of children, because they fight a lot. When they fight a lot, automatically there is forgiveness. When there is forgiveness, the love comes in. Now, what is important is to give that forgiveness when it is asked, sometimes to give that forgiveness when it is not asked. Jesus, when he was hanging on the cross, he forgave the people who crucified him. They didn't ask forgiveness. He interceded to God by saying, Father, forgive them. They know not what they are doing. He voluntarily gave that forgiveness. That showed his divinity at that time. Now, when we forgive, that is why there is a saying, to err is human, but to forgive is divine. That's a proof that we have certain elements of divine in us, the divinity in us. Because love also is a part of divine, being divine. So we have that godliness. We are imaged in the image and likeness of God, and the likeness of God is forgiveness as well. So we need to have these three things very important. Now that we are back from our lockdown, go to church. You don't have any excuse that you can't go to church. Earlier, at least some people were saying, oh, we are not vaccinated, we can't go to church. Now you don't have that excuse. We fought for it. We fought so much with the government. It was not an easy thing. Many people don't know how come government allowed all the non-vaccinated people also go to church. Like, it didn't come. If you remember, during the last lockdown, the last thing that was opened was church. Whereas now the first thing that is opened is church. And that too, including non-vaccinated people. That did not come just like that easy. A few of us priests fought tooth and nail for it to open. We fought and had arguments even with the bishops. Then only it could be opened. So it is very important that we are grateful to God and we make use of this to get back to church and take your whole family. When you go to church, go as a family. Don't go as an individual. You know, husband goes in the morning, wife goes in the evening, and the children are going somewhere else. Go together. Sit together. Even when you are sitting together in the church, husband and wife should sit next to each other. You know, there is people say after the first year of marriage, he speaks and she listens. After the second year of marriage, she speaks and he listens. After the third year of marriage, both of them speak so loud and the neighbors listen. That shouldn't be the case. When you come together as a family to the church, that resembles the Holy Family. You remember Mary, Joseph, and Jesus went to the temple, right? And what does it show? Very, very clearly there. The point that I made it very clearly. Mary and Joseph were together. Jesus was somewhere else. Typical of an adolescent boy, he gets lost in the temple, but it's a very good place to get lost. And they always went to the temple to pray. They offered Jesus there when he was a little baby, and they always continued to go. Only thing it is mentioned that he got lost at the temple. It looks like as if they went only once when he turned 12. No, they have been going there, but only thing he got lost only once. If you were to get lost a couple of times, they would have mentioned even that also in the Bible. But at least we know that they have been regular. So go together as a family. As priests, for us, nothing beautiful than seeing the whole family coming together for Mass. So go together always. Plan out which Mass you're going, regularly go. Try to involve your children for altar serving. You do the reading or do some hospitality, talk to other family. You come to know a lot of people like that. And that is helpful to settle your children when they are grown up. You know at least which family, what, and everything like that. Now, that is one of the dangers here now. You know, some Muslims are trying to get all the Catholic girls now so that, you know, they can convert them, make them into fifth wife or sixth wife. Whereas that's a problem because Catholic families don't come together. Say hello to others in the church. And, you know, get to know the other families, get to know other children, let them grow up together in the faith. That's a good friendship that can result in relationship and ultimately marriage life. You know, we need to make sure that we create this type of opportunities. You know, rather than doing that, you know, these days everything is on the websites and people will have to find one another on the Facebook, and that's terrible. So create that atmosphere. So faith and family should go together. and it's very, very important. And get back to your basics. Go to confession regularly, attend mass regularly, say your prayers, because everything is being shaken. The family life is being shaken, our faith is being shaken, the future is being shaken. So unless and until we are steadfast in our faith, in our love for God, things will fall apart very quickly. And always stay together and support each other. I'm glad that you come together at least for prayer and support each other, talk to one another, visit one another. And that way, like, you get to know other person, what he or she is going through, what the other family is going through. Reach out. If somebody is going through some difficulties, reach out to one another, help one another. That's called living out a Catholicism. Okay, don't stop only with your prayers. Prayers are the starting point. That is why it's very important that Jesus has said we need to listen to Jesus. He says it's not who says Lord, Lord, who will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but one who does the will of my Father in heaven. So we need to find out what is the will of the Father in heaven. Okay, so definitely we don't know more than Jesus. Jesus knows more than us. So listen to Jesus and keep the faith, and the faith will keep you. I will stop there. And thank you for the opportunity. Keep praying, pray for me, and come and visit us. We are in Glenmore Park.
Thank you, Father.
You can Google it. You can Google and see where Glenmore Park is. You would have not even heard about it. We are close to Blue Mountains, the other side of Penrith. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the organizers for this.
Thank you, Father Suresh.
Thank you, Father.
Father Suresh, sermons on Facebook. After Sister Melanie also mentioned highly about Father Suresh, and we saw his decision making, his will on the stand against what's been inoculated onto our bodies.
Yeah.
And that was also one of the turning point in our seeking through the Holy Spirit to stand firm.
Yeah.
So Father, that is so empowering to these families as well.
Yeah.
As third and fourth and seventh boosters are being planned to just insert the nanotechnologies, please do research. But thank you so much, Father, for this wonderful talk. So encouraging.
You're welcome.
And so
you're welcome. Stay safe and look after one another. And mainly continue to pray to God that the situation changes. Okay?
Yes, Father.
Yes, Father. Yes, Father.
Thank you. See you. Good night. God bless you.
Thank you, Father.
Good
night,
Father.
Thank you, Father. God bless.
Thank you, Father. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Father.
All right. I think we will continue our rest of the rosary prayers. And then we'll go into Divine Mercy. So yes, it's good to see everyone. Brother Raymond and his family, Sister Olga, Sister Roanna, Lorna, Brother Don, Sister Linda, yes, Michelle, Agnes. So Agnes also had a wonderful miracle which she can share later on. But yes, let's continue with the rosary. Yes. Sister Melanie, you can unmute, yes, please. Yeah. And Brother Vivian, yes, wonderful to see Brother Vivian.
He's a little shy. Let us pray.
Let us pray.
O God, whose only begotten Son, by his life, death, and resurrection, has purchased for us rewards of eternal life. Grant we beseech thee, meditating upon these mysteries of the most holy rosary of the Blessed Virgin Mary, that we may imitate what they contain. We may both imitate what they contain and obtain. Christ our Lord. Promise in Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Memorare. Remember,
most
gracious Virgin Mary,
that never
was it known
that anyone
who fled to thy protection,
implored your help,
implored thy help or sought thy intercession,
was
left unaided.
inspired
By this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin, O Virgin's Mother.
to you do
Here
I
I come.
you I stand,
Before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful.
Mother of the
O the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in your mercy, hear and
answer me. Amen.
Amen.
Pray to Saint Michael.
Saint Michael the Archangel,
Michael the Archangel,
The day of battle.
battle,
Be our protection
God
against the
with
wickedness,
snares of
snares
the
of the
devil.
devil.
in battle be our protection
O
against the
God,
wickedness and
rebuke him,
snares
we
of the
humbly
devil.
pray.
And do
But
thou,
rebuke
Do
him, we
thou, O
humbly
Prince
pray.
of the heavenly
And do thou,
host,
O Prince of the
by the
heavenly
power of
host,
God,
by the power of
thrust
God,
into
thrust
hell
into hell
all
Satan,
all the evil
all
spirits
evil spirits
who
who
wander
wander
throughout the
the
world,
world,
seeking the ruin of
the ruin of
souls.
souls. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son,
And the Holy
Holy
Spirit.
Spirit.
Amen. Thank you all. As there's 1 minute left, so we will continue with our Divine Mercy prayer. Today in Divine Mercy, Jesus is going to search our hearts for trust. So everybody say the key word is trust. Everybody.
trust.
The
Yes.
key word is trust.
Yes. Now,
Trust.
what God wants us is He wants us to cooperate with Him. Everyone say cooperate with God's redeeming mission.
Cooperate
Cooperate with God's redeeming mission.
In that, there are two key steps. First thing is our job, you and our job, which is to renew our mind, our thoughts. Yes.
renew our mind.
Romans 12:2 says, we are transformed. Let God transform us through the renewal of our minds, thought process. So we need to lift our thought process up to God, to heavenly things, to divine things, to expect miracle. Otherwise, we allow Satan to block the graces. And it is the job of Jesus Christ, along with Mother